Hello everybody, welcome back to the Essential Owl. Erin here. I'm going to be making another custom cold process soap today. It's going to be just a tad different than usual because I will be using a blend of essential oils for fragrance rather than a fragrance oil. So, the color scheme I'm going to go with today matches the the essential oil blend, in my opinion. In this little cup right here, this kind of goopy looking stuff I got going on in here, this is a blend of white kale and clay, titanium dioxide, a little bit of water, and the essential oils. And the oils that I am using are lavender, 100% lavender, and Roman chamomile. This is what was requested by the customer that I use in the soap. So the colors that I'll be using are going to be the white titanium dioxide as the base, and I will also be using some of this stuff right here, this purple vibrance mica. I love this mica. I've shown this to you all a couple of times. It's one of my favorites. Let me adjust the light here. I'm moving the camera all around. Sorry about that. There we go. Now y'all might be able to see a little bit better. But it's this really vibrant purple. Very pretty. My favorite purple to use by far. I'll also be doing a swirl of yellow vibrance mica powder, and this yellow is very, very undeniably yellow. So what I'll be doing is adding the kale and clay titanium dioxide mixture to the base oils, and then I will add the whitened base oils to the colors that I already have mixed up in my bowls here with just a little tiny bit of oil, and that's going to turn them into more of a pastel-y color. This is the yellow vibrance mixed with some just a couple of drops of the base oils, and it does look a little bit mustardy when it's super concentrated like this, but when it gets into a soap, when it actually goes into some raw soap batter, it comes out a very nice, vibrant yellow. And the same for the purple vibrance. Very, very, very purple. Let me see. Can you all see a little bit better? It's a little bit blurry, isn't it? But this will turn into, or it should turn into, a light pastel-y purple. I didn't use very much of the colorants because I wanted to make sure that I got pretty close to pastel colors. So without further ado, let's jump right into the making of this soap. this is a good consistency. You can see that the base isn't totally bright white. I'm okay with that. And the reason that it's not super bright white like most of my white bases are, with the exception of just a few, is because some of the oils in this particular recipe for this custom order that the customer requested are a darker color. One in particular is pretty green, so it's kind of hard to get a true white color without using way too much titanium dioxide. And I want to avoid glycerin rivers if I can, and using a lot of titanium dioxide can give you glycerin rivers. So that is the reason for that. I still think it will be a nice soap, and it kind of helps it as well. It looks a little bit more natural, I guess you could say. It looks more like a natural soap rather than something that came off of an assembly line or something. It's not entirely perfect, and I feel like that kind of helps lend to the handmade natural aesthetic that the customer is after. So I'm just going to divide up some of my colors here. I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of swirl, or at least I didn't think I was going to, but I poured quite a bit more than I intended to. That's okay. Now for purple. So the soap's going to have quite a bit of color in it, and I didn't really intend for that, but that's how it's going. So, and I'm going to hand mix these colors in rather than using a stick blender, because I've already put the colors in with a little bit of oil. I've already mixed some oil into the micas, so that's going to help it disperse a little bit easier. But also because florals, at least with fragrance oils, tend to accelerate trace. I don't know if everyone experiences that. I've used some fragrances that have floral notes in them and didn't experience any sort of acceleration, but I want to try to keep this soap pretty fluid if I can, so that I can get a drop swirl. I don't really want to take a hanger to it. So this is the yellow that we ended up with. See, it's a very light yellow, a very pastel yellow, and that's really close to what I had in my mind. And I'm sorry that the lighting in here is still not great. I'm still working on that. If anybody has any recommendations for good, bright lights that aren't overpowering, please let me know, because I have been searching for one for quite some time, and I'm not having much luck. Gotta say, not having a whole lot of luck finding something that I really like, because my soap room is on the first floor of my house. So, you know, it's nice to have utility sort of lights and tables and things like that, but because this room is on the first floor, I feel like I need to stick to a more pleasing aesthetic, to a more housey sort of aesthetic rather than a industrial feel. If that makes any sense at all, I don't know. Maybe that's silly, but I'm thinking we have an entire extra room on our second floor, or our half story, I guess I should say. And it's not currently being used for anything. My husband has his own room upstairs that he uses for his man things. But the other room is not being used. He thought he was going to use both of them, but that's not really happening. So I may end up moving upstairs where I can do a little bit more utility type modifications to the space and not feel like I'm turning my first floor of my house into an entire workspace, if that makes sense. So this is the purple we ended up with. A nice, I wouldn't necessarily call that pastel. I don't know. What do you all think? Would you call that a pastel purple? It's definitely a light purple. It's a good lavendery color. And the reason I went with lavender, obviously, purple, but I've seen pictures of yellow chamomile flowers online. Most of them seem to be white, but I have seen pictures of yellow, so I thought that it would be a nice color contrast. Ordinarily, I would not put purple and yellow together, but because of the scents of this soap, I feel like it's going to be really nice. And this batter is all super fluid, so I think I'm going to get some nice swirl action going on here. So let me rearrange this stuff so everyone can see. So, and then here is the base. It's a off-white, sort of yellowy, creamy color, but there is a definite distinction between this color and the light yellow. And if I had known that this was going to be quite that yellow, which I should have known because of the patchouli-based soap that I made already for this custom order, but I didn't think about it, so I probably would have made that a little bit more yellow, but I think it's going to be okay. This is extremely fluid. I'm very excited. Very happy with how this is going. Alright, so I'm just going to go in with a tiny bit on the bottom just to give us something to start off with. Okay. I don't really need these spatulas quite yet. So I'm going to scrape these off, stick them over to the side so that I don't accidentally dump one out, because that would be about par for the course for me, wouldn't it? So, okay. So I think I'm going to go in with yellow first, just because I'm just going to do a small pass like that. I want to try to get a super swirly soap without mixing them too much. See if I can get some really not very defined swirls, more like wispy swirls. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. And then I'm just going to alternate pouring these little by little. I feel like if I do only a couple of passes with this super fluid batter and alternate a lot, that I'll get a very swirly soap, which would be super nice. That would be perfect. But we'll see. Kind of move it around as I go. I'm going to try to do this in a way that I'm not blocking the camera. Oh, I put a lot of yellow right there on accident. Let's try giving this a swirly. See how fluid this is? I'm super happy with how this is turning out. I was expecting it to accelerate a lot because I'm using nothing but florals in here. But it's surprisingly not turning out that way. And I don't think I'm going to do anything to the top on this one. I want to see how the top comes out on its own and see how that works out. I don't know. We'll have to see what it looks like when I get to the end. Okay, running low on batter here. I'll pour up high, try to get this to swirl down deeper. And I hope I don't end up with brown because of mixing these two colors together. I didn't really consider that, but it is indeed a possibility. Maybe I will do something to the top. What do you all think? I think I'm going to have to do something to the top. I do. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's get out one of these spatulas. And I'll just kind of do something similar to what I did to the top of Woo, the Valentine's Day soap I made recently. Just kind of splatter it on the top a little bit and then go in and swirl it. Or maybe I'll leave the splatters, who knows. I did that on a soap once before I started the YouTube channel, and it turned out really cool. I really liked the drip pattern that I had on top. If you go to my Etsy page, my Etsy shop, the link is in the description. You could probably find it. I think I still have the listing up, but by the time I get this video up, I might have sold the last bar of that. Sold out pretty fast. But it's called the Breath of Life bar. It's pretty neat, in my opinion. But, I mean, it is my soap, so I might be a little bit biased. Just a little. Oops. This is so fluid. It always surprises me when I do extreme water discounts and the batter stays really fluid, because I always wonder, did I put too much oils in? Did I use way too much water? Did I mess something up? You know what I mean? Because I've been soaping for a little while now. Not too long compared to other soapers, certainly. But a little while. And I haven't had any real major disasters yet. I feel like I'm due. Like, I feel like I've been getting away with something. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm just due for a big soap failure, because I haven't really had one yet. And it seems like I should have had one by now. See, y'all, I'm just throwing this batter everywhere, just dripping it all over my table. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it like this with the drips on top. I don't think I'm going to swirl it. I kind of like it. You don't see very many soaps, or at least I don't see very many soaps with this kind of pattern on top. There's always either a solid color, or it's a mica drizzle with a swirl, or some sort of swirled or monotoned top, which is perfectly fine. I'm not dogging on those types of soaps. I make them myself. So it's nice to see something that's a little bit different sometimes on top. There's only so much you can do. You know, you can always add an embed, or do this sort of swirl, or do a swirl in this pattern, or use this sort of mica drizzle, or, do you see what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, an embed is still an embed. And once you've done one, you know, the embeds might be drastically different, but it's still an embed, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So it's nice to see something a little bit different. I'm just kind of finishing up this drippy pattern here. Kind of make sure I've got a good distribution of colors. Not too much in one spot. That sort of thing. I don't know how this is going to turn out, you guys. It looks a little bit brown, that soap underneath. We'll have to see. And I don't have a whole lot left, but maybe I have enough to fill up this little owl in here. We'll have to see. I'm going to scrape out this bowl. Okay, that is it. That went pretty quick. The batter was really fluid, so it allowed me to work at my own pace, but I still worked pretty quickly just in case it decided to set up on me. I made a giant mess that I had to clean up. I'm sure you all saw because I can't make soap without making a mess. So let's bring you all in for a close-up. So this is what we've got going here. This is the top of the soap. This soap is very, very, very fluid, and I'm really happy with it. I hope that the inside turns out nice because, as you can see, the background is a little brown, and I think that's from the purple and the yellow mixing together. But I think it's gonna look really nice, especially with the top being the way that it is. I think it's gonna turn out really pretty. At least I hope so. So whoa, my camera just freaked out on me. Sorry about that, but this is what we've got going on for us. This is a custom order chamomile and lavender soap. Going to let this set up. Because of my water discount, I'll be able to come back in here in just a couple of hours to cut it. So I will see you all then. Bye-bye.